Thank you so much for joining me for this special report. I'm your host. We can start nowhere else but with the beginning of the phenomenon itself. The story begins not with the headline or the military report, but with the cultural foundation that made us expect, even hope for strange visitors from beyond. To understand today's headlines, we have to know why this question has haunted us for so long. We're going to jump straight into Chapter 1, which is appropriately titled, "The Sky Has Always Been Watching." As long as humans have looked upward, the sky has been a mirror for our fears, our dreams, and our imagination. The night sky, scattered with stars, gave birth to myths of gods, monsters, and otherworldly visitors. The dawn sky, filled with fireballs and comets, stirred terror of omens. And in modern times, the same sky has become a theater for one of the most enduring mysteries of our age, unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. This chapter begins not with the present headlines or military reports, but with the deep roots of the phenomenon. To understand today's debates, we have to know why this question has haunted us for so long. The ancient eyes on the heavens. Long before radar, satellites, or even telescopes, civilizations recorded sightings of sky people, or chariots of fire. Ancient Sumerian tablets described beings known as the Anunnaki descending from the heavens. The Greeks told of gods like Apollo and Hermes traveling from the sky to intervene in human affairs. In India, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana described vimanas, flying palaces or machines of war that engaged in aerial battles that shook the three worlds. Skeptics will argue these were myths, not observations, symbols for natural forces, not spacecraft. But what makes them interesting is how widespread the imagery was. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries, from the Dogon tribe in Mali to the Maya in Central America, all referenced beings or technology that came from the skies. Some anthropologists claim this is just a human projection. We imagine the heavens as the source of power, so our myths naturally place gods there. Others argue it's a memory distorted by myth of something real. The first modern UFO sightings. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the language changes, but the mystery doesn't. On June 24, 1947, private pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 strange objects near Mount Rainier, Washington. He described them as moving like a saucer skipping on water. The press coined the term flying saucer, and a cultural explosion followed. Within weeks, reports flooded in from across the country, and then, just a month later, came Roswell. In July 1947, a rancher in New Mexico discovered strange debris on his property. The military first announced it had recovered a flying disc, then quickly reversed the statement, claiming it was a weather balloon. For believers, this was the first cover-up. For skeptics, it was a case of Cold War nerves. Either way, it set the stage for decades of suspicion. What's important here isn't just what happened. It's how people reacted. Americans in 1947 were living in the shadow of the atomic bomb, the rise of the Cold War, and a rapid leap in science. The idea of craft in the sky felt both plausible and terrifying. If we could split the atom, why couldn't someone else, human or not, be flying machines we didn't understand? The government steps in. By the early 1950s, reports of UFOs were coming so frequently that the U.S. Air Force created official projects to investigate. Project Sign, 1947, Project Grudge, 1949, and eventually Project Blue Book, 1952-1969, gathered thousands of reports. While most were explained as natural phenomena, weather balloons, or aircraft, a small percentage remained classified as unexplained. Here lies one of the seeds of the modern debate, the contradiction between public dismissal and private seriousness. Officially, the Air Force often downplayed sightings to prevent panic. Privately, however, documents and testimonies show intelligence agencies considered UFOs a possible national security issue. This tension fueled the belief that something was being hidden. In 1966, A University of Colorado study led by physicist Edward Condon concluded there was no evidence of extraterrestrials and recommended ending government studies. But the Condon report, as it came to be known, didn't silence the debate. Instead, it became evidence to many that the truth was being buried. Pop culture and the UFO boom. At the same time, pop culture amplified the fascination. Movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, reflected public curiosity and fear. Ufology became its own field, blending legitimate research with fringe speculation. For some, it was harmless entertainment. For others, it became a worldview. Polls began showing that large percentages of Americans believed in UFOs, or at least considered the possibility. By the late 20th century, belief in UFOs was more common than belief in many traditional religious doctrines. It wasn't just about science fiction anymore. It was about trust. Could the government be hiding the truth? Could humanity already have encountered something beyond our world? The turning point. Military encounters. While civilian reports often lacked credibility, military encounters were harder to dismiss. Radar operators, fighter pilots, and sailors began reporting sightings that defied conventional explanation. Objects moving at impossible speeds, performing maneuvers no known aircraft could withstand, and sometimes appearing simultaneously on radar and visually. One famous case came in 1980 at Rendlesham Forest, near a U.S. Air Force base in England. Multiple military personnel reported strange lights and even a metallic craft. Official explanations later tried to link it to a nearby lighthouse, but the testimony of trained soldiers continues to fuel debate. In 2004, the now famous Tic Tac incident took place. U.S. Navy pilots off the coast of California reported encountering an object shaped like a white capsule, capable of instantaneous acceleration and movement beyond known physics. In 2017, the Pentagon declassified videos of these encounters, giving the UFO conversation a new legitimacy. And now we arrive at the present day, where these reports have finally moved from the fringes of internet forums into mainstream media outlets. A former prosecutor, Luis Elizondo, former head of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, leaked numerous files, including detailed accounts of UFO sightings and explanations of their origin. The government responded first with dismissal, then with cautious engagement, launching the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force to collect and analyze data on these sightings. With the release of previously classified information, the UFO conversation has taken off. And yet it remains where it has always been, a blend of skepticism and fascination, of fear and hope.